There is no way I'm writing this book, I told myself. It's too personal, with parts just unpleasant. It's the end of telling my adventures in the national parks and beautiful wild, I decided. It's curious how with time things change and how we gain new perspective. For you are holding that very book I was never going to write. If you have read one of my books before, you probably have some expectations, and I believe those expectations will be met. If you're new here, welcome. With you as the reader and I as the writer, we will be going on an adventure together. This time, the adventure starts with the scorching Mojave Desert, from remote sand dunes and places of great solitude with the brutal beating sun and scurrying lizards. It will take us to lofty, snow-laden peaks of Glacier National Park in the company of mountain goats and grizzly bears. During the in-between, we will venture through the mystical redwood forest among banana slugs, surrounded by ferns, and we will feel diminished in size by these giants of nature. Then we will eventually find ourselves on the misty, cold, gray sand beaches of the Olympic Peninsula. Among these marvels, we will see many other things. Even if you may be used to my tales of adventure and reflection, what you might not expect to read are moments of my own shortcomings, my own frustrations, and a very personal look at my own grappling with re-emerging physical illness. I could just leave those parts out, I thought. Later I responded to myself, absolutely not. When I first began to take my writing seriously as a teenager, I was into writing many fictional plots and had created many characters. Then, with time, I realized my own true life experiences could oftentimes be even more interesting than what I could make up. I began telling my own stories, and in doing so, I became the main character. We know, when it comes to the main character, everyone roots for that character to also be the hero. We paint our main characters in glorious light. I came to realize that, although I may be the main character of this book, I'm not the hero. There is someone far greater at work here. I also came to terms with the fact that we can learn from each other's mistakes and each other's experiences, and who I am in one season of life can be very much different than who I am in another, as I continue to grow and develop as a character. I also came to realize that, as much as I'm inclined to say this is my story, it's really not all mine. It's a part of something much greater. Therefore, in traditional fashion, I hold nothing back, for it's not really up to me to decide what to share and what not to share. It's all a part of the story. So all I do, and all I think, is right here, uninhibited and surrendered before you. I also must do this to keep loyal to my readers and true to my character. So, come along. Travel beside me great distances, hike with me on the trails, explore with me dark caves, jump with me into Crater Lake. I think you've already decided you're along for the journey. First, I think it's fitting you know a little bit more about this so-called main character. Maybe you know me personally, but perhaps I am a stranger. Where to begin? Well, this is my third installment in my series of books of my adventures in the national parks. I have a rather informal, lofty goal to visit every U.S. national park and write about all the experiences in a series of books. In this book, I am 28 and don't have much holding me down except my teaching job during the school year. But in the summer, I am as free as a bird and truly take advantage of that. This book is the tale of one big summer adventure all over the American West, but most prominently the Pacific Northwest in the summer of 2018. I relied on journal entries, photos, itineraries, and maps to aid my memory in piecing everything together as I reflected back upon it. My love for writing began when I was very young, and the skill was very much fostered in me by my mother as I was homeschooled. There has elapsed quite a bit of time between writing Canyonlands, my adventures in the national parks and beautiful wild, Still Calm and Quiet, more adventures in the national parks and beautiful wild, and this book. This has been because, in the meantime, I was afforded some valuable and unique opportunities as a writer that took up a great deal of my creative time. My passion for studying Theodore Roosevelt led me to publishing several books with him as the topic. These involved a great deal of research. In return, this led me to becoming the latest coordinator of the annual Gathering of the Teddy Roosevelts, a Badland Chautauqua, just outside Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Also, another unique writing endeavor was becoming a Dollywood insider, writing behind-the-scenes content and insider tips on the official blog for Dolly Parton's theme park in East Tennessee. I am so thankful for both these avenues for my writing, and these are experiences I truly cherish. They did, however, put my telling of my adventures in the national parks on the back burner temporarily. I suppose I also had to come to terms with my story. I had a lot to process, and I had to arrive at the point where I decided I needed to share this. Here I am. Though I can write about Theodore Roosevelt and Dollywood Theme Park, and delightfully so, I am most passionate about sharing my own stories of my adventures in nature. So in writing this book, I feel as a writer, I am coming back home after having been gone a long while on some grand excursion. I have come back more passionate, thoughtful, and perhaps at times more fiery than I ever was before. I am now very excited and filled with enthusiasm to share with you this great summer's adventure. Thinking about this further and deeper, I suppose I also am more inclined to write about my adventures in nature because it is in the real natural world I find the most meaning. I truly believe God has left messages all over in His creation to point us back to Him. Every sight of beauty and every oddity and marvel of nature has a message, a truth to impart. If we silence ourselves and listen, we find these. Beauty is never wasted. That is a statement I am often speaking to myself. When I'm faced with something astoundingly beautiful and out of the ordinary, my reaction has come to question it. What does it mean? Beauty is often mistaken for just a spectacle, but it also always has a message. I have been so blessed to find many of these messages in nature. They speak to my soul and help me through hard times. My deepest hope is that through my writing and bringing you along on this adventure, I can help open your eyes to see these messages and see that there is more than just a spectacle and more than just an experience to be had. There is a message to be heard and a creator to know. So onward, let's go. There's much to see, much to hear, much to learn. As for your main character, you'll get to know me better with time.